Can we say session number 2? Hey everybody, I just want to say before we go any further, thank you once again. How many questions came in and how quickly was just the coolest thing in the world. I enjoy this so much. I hope you guys too. It's fun, it's cool. We get to go back and forth and exchange stuff, and I just think that's the shit. And I thank you guys so much for supplying the questions to this. You guys are the best. And by the way, I'm not trying to look like Joe Cool with the sunglasses or anything like that, but I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through these, and with that thing blasting me in the eyes, whoo, I'll be seeing spots for hours. So it's better I do it this way. Anyway, without any further ado, let's just get right to the questions and keep them rolling. And I did them grouped by, group by individual. So they're just going to be coming in the groups from each person. I'm going to go through all their questions and then move right on. No order or anything like that. It was just bam, it's just the way it worked out. Okay, Happa817 had a really good question. He says, are there any motion pictures you're embarrassed to say you like? Well, there's none that I'm really embarrassed about, but I totally get what you're saying, and I totally get where you're coming from. And I got a couple of them. The first one I love to death. I love this motion picture to death. I think it's one of the greatest things ever made, and everybody in the world looks at me like I'm freaking crazy, but I don't give a shit. And that is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton. I love that movie. If I'm in a down mood, I put that movie in. I come out feeling happy and goofy inside. It's just one of those motion pictures I love. And I think I mentioned it somewhere else before. I have the double album soundtrack to that thing. And I love the way that they perform the songs. I love everything about it. It's just so stupid, innocent, and fun. How can you not love that movie? This is where everybody slams me and says, you crazy. But I'm telling you, I love that motion picture. It's one of my all-time favorites. The second is a movie I went to the motion pictures and seen way back in the day. And that was a movie called The Goodbye Girl with Marsha Mason and Richard Dreyfuss. My mother took me to see that movie when I was just a kid. And still to this day, I love watching that movie. I think it's just one of those great, yeah, it's, is it a kind of chick flicky? Yeah, whatever, who cares? But the exchanges between Dreyfuss and Mason and the relationship that they have and the city living and everything about that movie, I just love to watch it to this day. So if I have a second place one for motion picture that is kind of like, well, yeah, I like that, it would be The Goodbye Girl. Next question from Happa was, is there any motion pictures you hope that they never, ever remake? And to be honest, I feel that way almost with every motion picture. I hope they never remake it. There's been so many that I love, especially like John Carpenter and stuff like that they've remade that I've absolutely thought were just shit on top of shit. So usually I always do hope that they don't remake a movie. But the ones that would really kill me if they ever did it was if they ever redid Escape from New York. It would just, oh my, they've been talking about it for years. Thank God Almighty they haven't done it yet. The thought of it just scares me to death. Another one is Big Trouble in Little China. Oh man, I'm talking, every time I turn around and hear, oh, The Rock's going to do it and all this other kind of stuff, leave that motion picture alone. There's no need to do it. There's no reason to do it. You just can't do it. Stay away from it. And of course you got your Jaws and your Rocky, and God forbid they ever launch Dirty Harry again without Dirty Harry Callahan. I don't think movies like that would even get remade today, really, honestly. I almost had a heart attack when they redid Death Wish, so I was kind of stunned about that. And I was like, why would you redo that? I mean, the first one was perfect. I mean, the sequels were all dog shit on top of dog shit, but the first one was amazing. So why would you do it? Who the hell knows? I don't know what it was. But anyway, those are probably like your main ones that I wish they would just stay away from and don't even tread into that territory. Okay, Van Happa asked, what movies do you hope that they would remake? Now, again, I'm not really into that, but if there was one or two that I really think would be kind of fun that they remade, I think it would be motion pictures that really reached for the stars for their time, and maybe it showed that they couldn't quite pull it off, but the movie was still great, and maybe now they could redo it for a newer audience because the concept would work so well. And I think something like that would be like The Last Starfighter, which was like, kind of revolutionary at the time. It was all that CGI type stuff and everything, and the idea of the aliens putting something here to see what kids can play video games and do this and do that. It was so cool, But now if kids look at it from today, I mean, they look at it like, what the hell is, what is this? And the idea that you could really train the people from a stand-up video game in an arcade, where in today's day and age, when you got, the virtual reality and all that kind of stuff, I think that The Last Starfighter would probably work pretty cool like something like that. And also, I love this movie, so I fear saying that they should remake it, and that would be Dragon Slayer, which I always thought was a great flick. Now, there's some parts in it now where you're like, man, that still holds up. That still looks phenomenal. That still looks like the shit. And then there's other parts, and the dragon's flying around, you're like, oh boy, there's a lot of rotoscope and shit, looks like shit, but whatever. Maybe something like that, especially with all the tools that they've done through the Peter Jackson flicks and all that kind of stuff where everything just looks amazing now. Maybe something like that. But if those are probably the two that just jump out at me off the top of my head. Okay, Happa's last question was, what is your favorite foreign movie? And I see that you say yours was City of Gold, and that was a really good movie, by the way. My favorite foreign movie of all times is Das Boot, about the German U-boat. I'm a freak for anything that floats or submerges. I have so many books on, all the Jane's books of the navies of the world, and the White Star Line stuff, and Titanic and her sister ships, and the Cunard Line, and volumes of this stuff. I'm like a freak for that. So, one, it's set place in the ocean. Two, it's set place under the water, and it was just so well done. I mean, it was so well done that if you don't feel the terror and the dread that these guys at the bottom of the ocean getting depth charged and everything, it was one of those motion pictures where I was just like, wow, I watched it, I'm just riveted to the screen, taking it in. So, Das Boot, Jürgen Prochnow, phenomenal motion picture, and I advise anybody to watch it. Okay, moving on to Subway Switch. Got a few good questions in here. Should Dirty Harry be brought out for one more mission? Dirty Harry movies are like a religion to me. Okay, I love those motion pictures like I can't even put into words. And I hate to say this, but no. Clint Eastwood is well past the point at this point. He's like 90 years old. I love Clint Eastwood. But seeing him in any role where he's grabbing a firearm at this point at that age, it would just look bizarre. Plus, the last time he did a Dirty Harry movie was the Deadpool, and I was just like, oh my God, they went to the well one too many times. I loved all of them, right up until Sudden Impact. I liked it too, and then the Deadpool was like, I don't know about this one, and then I can't imagine them doing it again. And to do it with anybody other than Dirty Harry, or Clint Eastwood, pardon me, would just seem like a violation of everything that's right in the universe. And again, in today's world, I don't think you could make a motion picture like that, in today's Hollywood. But I love the Dirty Harry flicks. He was one of my heroes when I was growing up. One of those iconic characters. So I just don't. Leave it alone. Next question from Subway was, how would you like to see the Rocky franchise end? Well, really, the Rocky franchise it really did end with Rocky Balboa. I know they keep bringing him back in for the Creed flicks, and I thought they did a really, 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 really good job bringing him back in the Creed flicks. I was waiting to hate that. Like, I was just going to go like, oh, God, they're going to the well one too many times, and what are they going to do, and all this other kind of stuff. But I thought those movies were really, really good. I thought they were well done. I thought all the new cast was great in them. So I thought that they really nailed it out the park, because I was scared to death of what was going to happen, like especially after you just see what they just did with the last Rambo flick. I just thought, yeah, I didn't dig it at all. But so far they've kept the Rocky character in a good light. With good writing, even through the Creed series. I don't think he's going to come back for another Creed movie. I don't think there would be a point in it. You know what I mean? It's let them go. The Rocky franchise is our Rocky franchise, and God bless it for what it is, and it's still my favorite sports movie and one of my favorite movies ever, and franchises ever. Rocky's a hero, Last question from Subway, would a Columbo movie work? I think a Columbo movie would be awesome. I really do, because it was such an iconic character, such a quirky character, such a fun character. And I think there's numerous people out there today that have enough comedic chops and enough dramatic chops where you could get them in there, whether it's like a like a Tony Shalhoub or whatever, and put them in that role, and I think that they would really, really, really nail it and do a good job in it. Plus, it's been so many years since the Columbo TV show was on. For the modern kids today, I mean, they'd have no idea that this was something that was regurgitated from years ago. So I think it would work. I think it would actually be kind of fun. So. Hey, yeah, why not? Kick it out the park. I know your suggestion said maybe go back to when he was in his early days coming out of the academy. I think that would work too. I think it would be a cool idea. Okay, Dav9000 asks, would I do old TV shows along with doing movies? And I kid you not, that's actually on the way. I've just been thinking of how I can slip them in. I didn't know if I want to call them episodes or if I wanted to call them special editions. And I go back and forth. You know what I mean? It's just I'm just thinking of how I want to throw them into the batch. But I actually have folders and files ready to go for shows like Riptide, which I think gets completely forgotten and overlooked and it's kind of gone in the past. I got Stingray sitting there ready to go with Nick Mancuso, which was like a short run, but it's one that everybody forgets even existed. So yeah, there's going to be TV shows coming. I appreciate the question. I think it's a great question. And sooner or later, I'm going to wind up throwing them up there and putting them out. So yeah, I love old TV shows, so they're definitely on the way. Okay, another question from Dab9000 is there any genre of motion pictures I prefer in the work of a specific director? I really love all kinds of motion pictures. I don't really care what they are. They could be dramas. I mean, not, okay, maybe not chick flicks a little bit. I don't mean that in a bad way. But it's really, I love all kinds of film, but I especially love sci-fi and horror movies. I mean, I can't deny it if I tried it. You know what I mean? If you give me Star Trek, Star Wars, or you give me, any kind of horror movie, from Humanoids from the Deep to, It's Alive to whatever, I don't know, whatever. I love all that kind of stuff, and I'm so into it. That's why I really, really, really enjoy hitting them up as much as I can. I div in, I div out. I don't want to make it all the same thing all the time. But I always try to bring those ones like Bug and The Car and bring them back up to the forefront for everybody to see so they can go back and maybe look at these things that were such cool flicks and such a great time. And is there a work of any director that is my favorite? Yeah, and I think I might have brought him up in some video or something like that, and that's just John Carpenter. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan because he had a distinct style. He had a way of directing that was really just telling the story efficiently and directly, and also he could set a mood that was also very creepy and made you feel very isolated and alone, and I thought he was a master of that. And everything he did from like 76 up until like 90 I thought was just magic, every one of them. After that it got hit and miss. Like I liked In the Mouth of Madness. I didn't really like Ghosts of Mars. I thought that Escape from LA was an insult. Vampires I thought was great just because of what James Woods did. He made that movie awesome. So everything like from there on, it was like but man, his holy grail from like 76 to 80, whether it's Assault or The Fog or Escape or Halloween or Big Trouble or Prince of Darkness and They Live. I mean, it was just like bam, bam, bam out the park. I'm like, holy shit, I can't get enough of this. This guy's, it was incredible. So yeah, huge Carpenter fan. And one thing too that Carpenter always avoided, which I really deeply appreciated. Sometimes a director will do something that just completely pulls me out of the motion picture. My perfect example of that is Steven Spielberg. Now I love Spielberg, okay, but he did a motion picture a couple years ago. It was a remake of War of the Worlds. And I remember watching it, and he did a scene in there that just pulled me completely out of the motion picture, just completely wrecked it for me. It's when they're in the minivan, and they're trying to get away, and they're driving, they're going down the highway, and he's cutting through everything, and the camera's here. And all of a sudden, the camera just goes, for no reason, goes, bam, in the other door. And then he pulls it out, and it zips around again. They go, bam, on the other actor, and I'm like, why would you do such a thing? That kind of shit just for somebody like me, it pulls me right out of the motion picture and just reminds me, you're watching a motion picture, and hey, here, check out my trick shot. So I've never liked that kind of thing. Carpenter avoided that like the plague through most of his career. So again, wait, I'm fanboying out again. Oh, wow. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, John Runyon asks me, do you like the film Razorback from 1984? I just watched that actually not too long ago. I don't want to give away too much because I actually want to do an episode on it. But I did like the movie. I enjoyed the movie. Anything that takes place in Australia, half of it's in the outback. There's dingo dogs. There's a giant pig running inside one house on one side and out the other, straight through. I mean, that kind of shit I just love. And the directing style I love too. I mean, it had the same director as Highlander and all that. So I really like that motion picture. I'm not going to go too much into it because I want to save it for when I do a real concise thing on it. But yes, most definitely. Okay, Topper Longo asks, who is your favorite character actor? Oh man, there's so many of them that were just great. I mean, Ian Holm was a great character actor. Gary Oldman's a great character actor. Harry Dean Stanton was a great character actor. Who the hell am I? Jack Warden, who just was in Used Cars, was a great character actor. He moved from Used Cars and Justice for all that kind of. I mean, just phenomenal character actors. But those names that I just threw out at you were probably the ones that just hit me the most and jump out the most. Maybe they're the freshest in my mind. But those guys could do anything. I mean, if you ever want to see a great performance ever given on screen, just watch Gary Oldman in Leon the Professional. That movie, just a great motion picture, and he was so goddamn good in it. Harry Dean Stanton was always good in all the stuff I ever seen him. And Jack Warden was just amazing. I mean, you've seen what he did in Used Cars. That shit was just fucking ridiculous. I mean, playing two characters in the same motion picture and you believe them as separate entities. I mean, whatever. But I'm just saying those are kind of like the guys I would. And Ian Holm, which is passed. Those are the kind of guys I would go to. They were just phenomenal actors. They could pull off anything in any character. It was just, I love that shit. Another one from Topper Longo. If they did a movie of the old TV show Ironside, who would you want to see in it? Him, his cast, that kind of stuff. You know, Raymond Burr had a presence. He didn't have to do much, or he just had a presence. That was his thing. I mean, that's why I loved him when he popped up on the Airplane flicks or something as the judge. He just had that presence, and maybe that's left over from my time too of loving him in the original Godzilla, whatever. He's just Raymond Burr, right? And I think you'd have to still have somebody that could do that amount of presence without having to break into somebody. And there's one guy that came to mind when you asked me that. And the one that really comes to mind is Michael Wincott, who I think is just phenomenally underused and incredibly talented. I mean, from the roles he did as Top Dollar in The Crow, or what he did in Strange Days, and all those kind of movies, he was such... Or Metro, too. He was even good in that. It's kind of forgotten Eddie Murphy flick. He was so good in those motion pictures. And he has this look to his face, this tone to his voice, that when you see him in a motion picture, you're like, holy shit, man, this guy, you kind of like zero in on him. And I think he would be great in a role like playing Ironside. He's just in a chair. He can't really do a lot of the stuff that normal action hero detective movies do, that kind of shit. But when you watch him, you just watch him. And even in that situation, and that tone, that gravitas, whatever they want to call it, that he would project from that, I just think it would be perfect. And as far as the backup actors in that motion picture, I mean, I don't really know. I would go to my favorite hit list of people that I always go to. Like, I love, Jennifer Jason Leigh and Juliette Lewis. And actors like that, you know what I mean? I just think they can do anything if you put them in a role and they can just make it work. So I would have those kind of actors, and the male counterpart. I would have those kind of people in it. I think they could just chameleon from anything and play the role and pull it off. With him in the lead, I think that you kind of have it mostly set anyway. Okay, Topper Longo also asked, would I ever consider putting in TV movies? Especially from the golden era of the 70s, all that kind of stuff. And I've actually done a couple. The Gargoyles review I did was actually a TV movie way back in the day, and it was I loved that motion picture. It was just one of those things I watched over and over again because they were playing on there almost every other Saturday on some of the channels out of Boston and New York, and I loved that motion picture. So yeah, I've done that one. I did the review of Battlestar Galactica, the one from the 70s, which was a TV movie, and I know it got released overseas in Europe, I think, in theaters, and because they just kind of beefed it up a little bit. But that was basically a TV movie. But yeah, I got one all lined up to do, actually. I just haven't recorded video for it. And that is Devil Dog, The Hound from Hell with Richard Crenna, which was like this great, cheesy-ass, goddamn, TV movie that I just thought was the shit. So yeah, I'm gonna add TV movies in there as long as they were good ones and everything. And I mean, you have a lot of them. I mean, we haven't even touched things like Salem's Lot and all that kind of crap yet. So yeah, they will definitely be in there. And again, too, a lot of times, I just want you all to know, when I review movies, it's usually of something me and my wife just watched, because I want them to be fresh in my mind. If I can't watch it the day I review it, I'm not going to review it. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this, but what did you want to watch tonight? Oh, all right, here we go. We're reviewing that. And it literally works out that way. So a lot of them come from the list I already have pulled up. I'll say to my wife, I got these 40. What do you want to watch any of these? And we'll do something along those lines. So, yeah, once I get a shot to watch something and have it fresh, I'll do it. And if there's some movies I just can't find that I want to do, even if I remember them from memory, I don't usually do a review on them, simply because you can remember shit differently than you might think about it today. Like, when I was a kid, I loved Track of the Moon Beast. I still kind of do. But when you watch it today, you realize it's another piece of shit in every way. But, so there you go. So, it's one of those things. Okay, Bolzano Strangelove has a good group of questions going here. If I could teleport into any motion picture world and jump right into the plot, what would it be? Man, I know yours was Labyrinth. You brought that up in the comment section. That was a good one. That was really cool. For me, call me weird, but I have this strange thing for dystopian futures. You know what I mean? So if you give me like Dawn of the Dead, or Escape from New York, or Mad Max, or the Road Warrior itself, those are the motion pictures where I sit there and I say, oh man, wouldn't it be a great time just to run amok in that world? Now, in all reality, it would probably suck. Let's be honest. I mean, you're eating, dinky winky dog food, or all hell's broken loose in one way or another. But who wouldn't want to be trapped in a shopping mall when the fall of mankind happens? I mean, I'm a mall rat, so shit. That's half right there. I'll just make the bedding area out of your local, J.C. Penney into my bedroom. It would kind of be cool. But, it's that kind of a thing. And, again, Blade Runner, which I absolutely love. For some reason, the more worse it looks in the future, the more I want to be there. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just one of those kind of strange people. I don't know if it's just about, hey, everybody just go for broke, whatever. Go live in the outback and have a dog, whatever. But those are the kind of movies I like, and the kind of movies I would just love to jump into the plot with or something like that. And who the hell didn't want to be Snake Plissken? I mean, really. Okay, Bolzano's next question is, what is your favorite Stanley Kubrick movie? And that is, without any doubt or hesitation, The Shining. I love The Shining. Yeah, I know it differed from the book. I actually prefer the movie over the book. Just as the way I love The Shining. I thought it was amazing. I thought the actresses, the actors, and everybody in it were just friggin' spot on. I just thought the mood and the tone and everything, I just thought it was probably as well as a motion picture could be made. You know what I mean? So The Shining will always be my highlight. I also loved Full Metal Jacket, which I thought was just insane. I think I told you guys a while ago about going to see that and The Lost Boys in the same day, which was, I mean, how can you beat that? 2001: A Space Odyssey. Come on, that's like mandatory. You almost have to say that. And he also directed Spartacus, for Christ's sake. And it's fucking Spartacus. You know what I mean? So, definitely The Shining and Full Metal. And there's some great ones in there too. But yeah, he was a great director. It's kind of a shame he didn't direct more. You know what I mean? His list is only so long. You know what I mean? But what he did had some friggin' winners in there, to say the least. Have I seen Space Jacked? Oh my God. I remember seeing it at one point, but it was so long ago, and it was one of those movies I was kind of half-heartedly watching. And I basically watched a bit of it that I did because Amanda Pays was in it, and Corbin Burnson. I'm like, the names just jumped out at me, you know what I mean? So I was watching it, but it was one of those movies that I was able to sit down and really watch, you know what I'm saying? So I seen it, but I don't want to really pass judgment on it because I really wasn't paying that much of attention. It was one of those movies, usually when I watch a movie, I zone in really hard. And that was one of those motion pictures that just happened to be on, and I was darting around doing this, doing some of the other, probably chasing my son around or something when he was young. And just, I didn't get a full chance. So I don't want to really give it an up or a down, but yeah, I heard of it, and yeah, I seen parts of it, or most of it. Are there any motion pictures that turned out better than I ever thought that they would? I got two. The first one, and I said earlier in this video, was that I was a fanatic on anything that floats. So, to say the least, I had so many books on the Titanic, it was almost disturbing. You know what I mean? From tech manuals, 882 feet long, and whatever. I was just so into it. So when the movie Titanic was being proposed, I went into this like, this is going to be the worst motion picture experience of my life. They're going to get this wrong, that wrong, that wrong, this wrong, that wrong. And it's following around two fictional characters. What the fuck is that? I mean, you got one of the most incredible stories ever recorded, and you're going to sit there and throw fake people into it when you got all these real people that you can get. What are you, stupid? So I went in there and I realized the real people were there. In the Jack and Rose character were just in a way of skirting you through all of them, and of course giving you a focal point of caring about them too. So that motion picture actually turned out to be so much better than I ever thought it would be. It was actually phenomenal. I'm going to tell you something that's embarrassing, and I don't care. And this is going to be one of those things you guys can rip on me for. I don't give a shit. I'm just going to let it go. I remember going to that movie. It was me, my son, my sisters, my mother. There's like 8 of us. And 3 seats down from me is a guy sitting there with his wife, right? And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and we're giving each other that look of, she dragged you to this shit, right? And I'm giving him that look of, yeah, she did. So we sit there, and we're watching this motion picture, right? And I'll never forget it. We hit the part where the mother is like laying next to her kids in the bed, just holding them as the water is rising, and you know they're going to die and everything like this, and everybody's starting to tear up and everything like that. And my eyes are getting all, I said, oh my God, this is so fucked up. And I'm starting to like get all cry-eyed and everything like that, and I never do that. And I just remember looking over, and that fucking dude was sitting over there, and tears were coming down his eyes, and he looks over at me, and he sees me like welling up, and he just goes, I'll remember that shit for the rest of my life. Just one of those moments where like these 2 dudes went into this shit like, fuck this motion picture. And by the time we got rolling, we were just like, oh man, this is one of the best experiences we ever had. This movie was great. So anyway, that's the first. And the second, I think I mentioned before, was Purple Rain, that I got dragged to by my girlfriend when I was 14 years old. The one I was with before my other girlfriend, who became my wife for the last 35 years. And she wanted to go see it, and I went into that with anger in my heart. I just didn't want to go. I didn't want to do it. And beyond that, I mean, there's a little teeny side note to that. I looked older than I was when I was 14, and I used to go to the motion picture house all the time. And literally, they let me see whatever I wanted to see because they all knew me. But they knew I was underage, but they just didn't care. And they didn't care that I would go in there with my girlfriend. But she brought a bunch of kids that she babysat for. They were all like 7 to 11 years old. I mean, there was like 4 of them. And I'm like, there's no way they're going to let me in here with these kids. There's no fucking way. They're going to tell me, get out of here, asshole. We just don't, And they let me in, but the guy at the front, at the desk kind of gave me the look of. Good question from Valzano was, do you ever watch movie reviews from other YouTubers? And the answer to that is most definitely. Actually, before I even started my channel, I was watching a lot of reviews by this guy, Chris Druckmann, who would sit in a room and he would just, review movies, and he would do all this new stuff and modern, mostly modern stuff. At least I thought at the time. And I kind of sat there and I said, hey, I could do that. I love doing stuff like that. That would be kind of fun. But I want to do old school and make it look like shit. No 4K recording. I want everything to look bad and I want it to purposely look grainy and devote my time to motion pictures I think people missed and I think people would really enjoy. So that's where almost like the crux of it kind of kicked in. But I do watch a bunch of other ones. There's I watch Oliver Harper's stuff. I think that's really good. I watch Cinemassacre, which was kind of funny because I got into them after I started this, and then I realized, oh my God, these guys are doing like gaming with old movies thrown in there too. Thank God our styles are different and shit, you know what I mean? So we didn't overlap each other too much, whatever. But yeah, I watch those guys. I also watch George Rockwell Schmidt. I watch his. I watch there's a relatively new one. His name's like Kodarai FX or something. I watch his stuff. I already mentioned Oliver Harper, right? But yeah, there's other people out there I watch and enjoy. Oh, and there's a couple of really good kids out there. well, kids, they're like late 30s or whatever. But they do the Grim Life Collective, and they go to like movie locations, and they hop around looking at shit like that, and they, anything spooky. And they do a lot of that. They go to amusement parks and shit too. But they got a good, fun little channel. You should check them out. They're good little band of kids. So, yeah, I watch a lot of other people's stuff as long as it has movies or music involved with it, and I enjoy all of it. I root everybody on. I think everybody should make a channel. Go make channels. Hey, I got another good group of questions from Unfortunately Infinite. And one of them was, with the recent passing of Ian Holm, was there anything of his that was my favorite role? Now, Ian Holm was in so much shit. I mean, oh my God, Jesus Christ. Even if it from Alien to The Fifth Element to you name it, he was in it. But if I have to pick a movie that I will always think of Ian Holm with, other than Alien, and one that people don't mention every other day of the week, was Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, with Christopher Lambert way back in the day, Highlander himself. And I really liked that because, to me, it was one thing that you had to believe, the Tarzan character. I thought Christopher Lambert did a great job at it. But for me, if you didn't believe the character teaching him, the character bringing him from this animalistic lifestyle to a humane lifestyle, well, that's a matter of perspective, then I didn't think the movie would work. And Ian Holm, when he was teaching him how to use the razor, and when Ian Holm was with him when the one gorilla died, and he goes, "He was my father," and you see the look in Ian Holm's face, he helped make that movie work based on, he made you believe that he believed everything that the Tarzan character was doing and going through. So I thought that was amazing and unheralded, and it didn't get enough attention, as it should. And it's one of those things that I hope that gets remembered in his little shoebox of movies that he just went out to do that were just, great. Another one is, do I remember Zardos with Sean Connery? Yes, I remember Zardos well. And it was actually, again, I'm not going to get too much into it because it'll probably come up on the show at some point or another. But Zardos was actually one of those movies, like maybe the concept was greater than the motion picture, even though I still love movies like that. And I really, 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 really thought that the whole concept, the two societies and the mind control, whatever was going on, it was really fun and enjoyable. But I tell you, when I seen it when I was younger, I just couldn't get past the outfits. I was like, what the hell is Sean Connery wearing? What are these people wearing? This is just so crazy. But, now it's just one of those things where you're not used to seeing James Bond running around in this weird getup. But I really, really, really look back at it and say, it was a pretty fun flick. And I haven't seen it in years, you know what I mean? I haven't watched it in a long, long time. But it was really cool that you brought that up, because that was a good movie. It gets criminally, if you mention Sean Connery, that movie doesn't even jump into the lexicon of people's memories of him. I mean, with all the shit he's done, they never remember that motion picture. I don't really know why, because it was a good flick. But, I'll do a more in-depth review of it. But yeah, I remember that, most definitely. And the final question of the night is also from Unfortunately Infinite, and that is, the 70s was such a great time for conspiratorial occurrence, why can't I get the word out? I'm not even going to try, but conspiracy theory movies. Was there anything that jumped out? And I didn't really think about that much, but you were so spot on. That was a time when people made a bunch of movies like that, the big brothers out there, all these kinds of things are going on, and blah, 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 behind the scenes, and corporations, and all that. Was there any ones that really jump out? And you actually named a couple, because I went to the movies and seen two of them. I went to the movies and seen the China Syndrome. Syndrome, did I pronounce that right? And that was a great movie. I mean, Jack Lemmon was just fucking amazing in that motion picture. You know what I mean? And you could feel the tension in it. So that is a great one. But the one that I remember and loved the most, and still to this day, it's one of my favorites. I probably watch it maybe once every year or two, and that was Coma. And I think you mentioned Coma. And yeah, I absolutely love Coma. I thought that was a great movie. You know what I mean? Beyond Michael Douglas was great in it. Genevieve Bujold was in it. They did a great job. But the whole idea and the paranoia it put in your head, I mean, after you watch Coma, you almost could not help but be scared shitless the next time you went to a doctor's office to have your tonsils out, for Christ's sakes, because you're like, are they going to whack me for harvesting my stuff? It would be so easy to do. Whoever questions a doctor, they're constantly injecting you with shit, putting hoses in you. Do you know what it is? No. You're just like, well, I'm trusting this guy I don't even really know that well that he's going to jack me up and stick all this shit in me, and it's all for a good reason, right? And Coma was the one. Coma was the one that really left the imprint. And I actually have a file all ready to go. The photos, the trailer, and the cast and crew and all that kind of shit ready to do. I just haven't made the move to do it yet. But it's definitely one of them. I've already just been sitting on it and waiting. But Coma was the one. I thought that motion picture was just creepy and really, really. Plus, it's got Lance Legault from fucking the A-Team chasing her around the place trying to kill her. I mean, how can you not love that? I mean, come on. Oh, before I came up here to do this, my wife actually asked me to answer a question for her. And she said, what made you want to do this? She goes, you got a bunch of other stuff going on. You're in a band. You do all this shit. Why would you want to, what made you want to do this? But she obviously knows my insane love of motion pictures. She knows how bad I am with movies and all that kind of stuff. So she gets that angle. But she was like, what made me want to actually do a TV show on YouTube about this? And I just sat down one time and I was sitting there watching these. When I was a kid, I loved and worshipped watching At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert and all that kind of stuff. I think it was on PBS or Channel 17 for where I was. And I would wait every week just to see those 3 movies get reviewed. And then it became much bigger later on. I think it was like At the Movies, and it became, Siskel and whatever, how the hell ever it worked. And I used to wait for that show. I used to love it. And I always just said, man, I'd love to do something like that. And then when I started seeing on YouTube, there was so many people reviewing stuff, but not really touching the movies that I think should get the attention that they should. I'm one of those guys that would go to like Walmart and buy those 50 movies for $10 packs and go home and watch these, pan and scanned, fucking dirty. They didn't even fix up the transfer from VHS to DVD, and it would just look like shit. And then the voices would skip out of place at times. I said, oh my God, this is my world. And I would love all that kind of stuff. And I said, I'd like to do a channel that might not go that far into that nasty of like motion pictures, but close, on the perimeter, stuff that's forgotten, stuff that's missing. So I said, you know what? It's the thing that I can do. It's the thing that I know a lot about because I've been so into it for years. And when you're in a rock and roll band, and you know what I mean, you're playing shows or you're making CDs and you're doing the whole thing, you really have to work at the schedule of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody's down because they're sick. It's one thing if, somebody's out of town on a family thing, you can't work that week. There's things that it's a family and a marriage, and it's just the way it works. But this is something where I could just have 15, 20 minutes of my own time, run up here into my music room, cut a video in 15 minutes, splice it together in a couple hours, and then put it out there, and it'd be something I love to do and enjoy to do, and I could share it with people, and be cool, and we could talk and have a good time and laugh our asses off or whatever, and do it. And it was on my own time and on my own schedule, and especially in today's day and age right now with everything going on in the world where bands just don't get to work. So no matter whether the band was working or not, I'm still going to put videos out at least 1 or 2 a week. Anyway, that's the reason I love doing this and what got me going into it. Okay, folks, this has been cool. I hope I didn't drag on too long. You know what I mean? I felt like I've been up here for a long time. Anyway, everybody, take care. I'll see you all again soon. We've got some more movies coming up. Horror or drama, you name it, we're going to cover it. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for taking the time to write them. You guys don't know what it means to me. It's too cool and it's just too cool. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Be good. Stay safe. Take care of one another. And don't ever let anybody throw any bullshit your way. Peace.